It has been my observation that most people get ahead during the time that others waste. The human mind is a channel through which things to be are coming into the realm of things that are. If it doesn't add value, it's waste. Be ready to revise any system, scrap any method, abandon any theory, if the success of the job requires it. Thinking is the hardest work there is, which is probably the reason why so few engage in it. Whatever you have, you must either use or lose. Whatever you resist will persist. The most difficult job is the one that you never get started on. Luck and destiny are the excuses of the world's failures. If you need a machine and don't buy it, then you will ultimately find that you have paid for it and don't have it. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. Success is 99% failure. Whatever your goal in life, the beginning is knowledge and experience. Money doesn't make us anyway, it just unmasks us. When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. Impossible means that you haven't found a solution yet. Greatest thing in life is experience. Even mistakes have value. Nothing is particularly hard if you divide it into small jobs. Quality means doing it right when no one is looking. A poor man is not the one without a cent. A poor man is the one without a dream. The object of education is not to fill a man's mind with facts, it is to teach him how to use his mind in thinking. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Don't expect people to respect you for what you are planning to do. Whether you believe you can or not, you're right. The only real mistake is the one from which we learn nothing. If everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself. The two most important things in any company do not appear in its balance sheet, its reputation and its people. My best friend is the one who brings out the best in me. Don't find fault, find a remedy. Thinking is hard work, which is why so few people do it. It is failure that is easy. Success is always hard. Most people spend more time and energy going around problems than in trying to solve them. You can take my factories, burn up my buildings, but give me my people and I'll build the business right back again. Those who walk with God always reach their destination. A man's real education begins after he has left school. True education is gained through the discipline of life. The secret of success is to understand the viewpoint of others. Money doesn't change men, it merely unmasks them. If a man is naturally selfish or arrogant or greedy, the money brings that out, that's all. Paying attention to simple little things that most men neglect makes a few men rich. Greatest thing we can produce is character. Everything else can be taken from us, but not our character. It is not the employer who pays the wages. Employers only handle the money. It is the customer who pays the wages. Patience and foresight are the two most important qualities in business. 2% of the people think, 3% think they think, and 95% would rather die than think. Those who never make mistakes work for those of us who do. Obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goal. Those who stop marketing to save money are like those who stop a clock to save time. The competitor to be feared is one who never bothers about you at all, but goes on making his own business better all the time. The best way is always the simplest. The attics of the world are cluttered up with complicated failures. To do more for the world than the world does for you, that is success. If you don't think of the future, you won't have one. People are as happy as they choose to be. If I'd listened to customers, I'd have given them a faster horse. You can do anything if you have enthusiasm. Anybody can do anything that he imagines. Genius is seldom recognized for what it is, a great capacity for hard work. One who fears failure limits his activities. Failure is only the opportunity to more intelligently begin again. It's your thinking that decides whether you're going to succeed or fail. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. Before everything else, getting ready is the secret of success. Understand the difference between being at work and working. Almost all enduring success comes to people after they are 40. For seldom does mature judgment arrive before then. Anyone who does anything useful will not go unpaid. There are no big problems, there are just a lot of little problems. There is no man living that cannot do more than he thinks he can. You can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. It's simple: fantasize, rehearse, then go out into the world and do it. Businesses that grow by development and improvement do not die. Every experience is worth having. Businessmen go down with their businesses because they like the old way so well they cannot change. The only thing you can give a man without hurting him is an opportunity. The best way to make money in business is not to think too much about making it. If two people agree, one of them is unnecessary. There are three things that grow more precious with age: old wood to burn, old books to read, and old friends to enjoy. The one aim of these financiers is world control by the creation of inextinguishable debts. If you think you can do a thing or think you can't do a thing, you're right. The more detailed the plan, the easier the trip. There is no disgrace in honest failure, there is disgrace in fearing to fail. Mediocrity is the worst enemy of prosperity. A low-wage business is always insecure. It is always possible to do a thing better the second time. A market is never saturated with a good product, but it is very quickly saturated with a bad one. You can do anything if you have enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the yeast that makes your hopes rise to the stars. Nobody can think straight who does not work. Idleness warps the mind. In the Ford Motor Company, we emphasize service equally with sales. When you once get an idea in which you believe with all your heart, work it out. The highest use of capital is not to make more money, but to make money do more for the betterment of life. The unhappiest man on earth is the one who has nothing to do. Education is not something to prepare you for life, it is a continuous part of life. The only motive that can keep politics pure is the motive of doing good for one's country and its people. You can't learn in school what the world is going to do next year. The man who has the largest capacity for work and thought is the man who is bound to succeed. An airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. Many people miss opportunity because it came disguised in overalls. The time is coming when men will be able to determine the length of his lifespan by controlling his diet. Any man can learn anything he will, but no man can teach except to those who want to learn. Thinking first of money instead of work brings fear. An educated man is not one whose memory is trained to carry a few dates in history, he is one who can accomplish things. Opportunities will not overlook you because you are wearing overalls. A business absolutely devoted to service will have only one worry about profits. They will be embarrassingly large. I invented nothing new. I simply assembled the discoveries of other men behind whom there was centuries of work. You don't have to hold a position to be a leader. Chop your own wood and it will warm you twice. Most people think of success in terms of getting. Success, however, begins in terms of giving. The more you think, the more time you have. Money the root of all evil, unless used for good purpose. Education is preeminently a matter of quality, not amount. If you think of standardization as the best that you know today, but which is to be improved tomorrow, you get somewhere. A man who cannot think is not an educated man, however many college degrees he may have acquired. You can't build a reputation on what you are going to do. With God in charge, I believe everything will work out for the best in the end. There is no such thing as no chance. Those who believe they can do something and those who believe they can't are both right. The whole secret of a successful life is to find out what is one's destiny to do, and then do it. I do not believe a man can ever leave his business. He ought to think of it by day and dream of it by night. This company doesn't pay anybody. Only customers can do that. The company merely handles the money. Do your best every time, because by doing a thing well you build something valuable into yourself. If governments would only understand that if people are left alone they'll work out their own salvation. Auto racing began 5 minutes after the second car was built. When bankers get into business they usually destroy it. The farther you look back, the farther you can look ahead. To see a thing clearly in the mind makes it begin to take form. Stopping advertising to save money is like stopping your watch to save time. Under pressure, the mouth speaks when the brain is disengaged, and, sometimes unwittingly, the gearshift is in reverse when it should be in neutral. I don't like to read books. They muss up my mind. Enthusiasm is the sparkle in your eyes, the swing in your gait. As long as we look to legislation to cure poverty or to abolish special privilege, we are going to see poverty and special privilege grow. Most people think that faith means believing something. Oftener it means trying something, giving it a chance to prove itself. The Depression was just a state of mind. It is over for everyone who has changed his state of mind. One needs to be successful in the conventional way to learn just how far away from success it may be. Paying good wages is not charity at all, it is the best kind of business. An imitation may be quite successful in its own way, but imitation can never be success. Success is a first-hand creation. My grandfather killed my father in my mind. I know he died of cancer, but it was because of what my grandfather did to him. It is the customer that pays the wages. There is no failure except failure to serve one's purpose. Failure is the chance to do it better next time. There is joy in work. There is no happiness except in the realization that we have accomplished something. An idealist is a person who helps other people to be prosperous. Life is a series of experiences, each one of which makes us bigger, even though sometimes it is hard to realize this. If money is your hope for independence, you will never have it. We are here for experience, and experience is a preparation to know the truth when we meet it. We are always seeking for those things which are in the clouds, not for those that lie at our feet. Time waste differs from material waste in that there can be no salvage. A bore is a person who opens his mouth and puts his feet in it. The basically simple things are best, whether it's automobiles or diets or philosophy. Progress is not made by pulling off a series of stunts. Each step has to be regulated. A man cannot expect to progress without thinking. That the devil finds work for idle hands to do is probably true. But there is a profound difference between leisure and idleness. No one will ever get anywhere in this world unless he becomes a teacher, one who can show others how to do things. When I can't handle events, I let them handle themselves. If the people really set their minds on anything, it is impossible to prevent their getting what they want. Wealth, like happiness, is never attained when sought after directly. It comes as a byproduct of providing a useful service. The boss is not paying you. They just keep the money for you only. New customers who actually paid. Even a mistake may turn out to be the one thing necessary to a worthwhile achievement. A manufacturer is not through with his customer when a sale is completed. He has then only started with his customer. One who fears failure limits his activities. There are no dead ends. There is always a way out. What you learn in one failure you utilize in your next success. Show me who makes a profit from war, and I'll show you how to stop the war. I was happier when I was doing a mechanic's job. The way out of the depression is to start spending and doing things. I don't expect to retire. Every man must work, that's his natural destiny. One of the most difficult things to do in life is thinking, that's why so few people engage in it. An educated person, I think, is one who not only knows a lot, but knows how to do a lot of things. The greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young. Without doubt, Thomas Edison is my greatest contemporary. I am looking for a lot of men who have an infinite capacity to not know what can't be done. If you think you can or cannot accomplish a task, you will be correct in either case. The most important history is the history we make today. Thinking is the hardest work we do. Every man is entitled to make a darn fool of himself at least once in a lifetime. History doesn't mean dates and wars and textbooks to me, it means the unconquerable pioneer spirit of men. Borrowing for expansion is one thing, borrowing to make up for mismanagement and waste is quite another. Whether you think you will succeed or not, you are right. Improved productivity means less human sweat, not more. Every success is the mother of countless others. He who believes he can and he who believes he cannot are both correct. Individualism is what makes cooperation worth living. The hardest thing in the world to do is to think, and that is why people do so little of it. Why should I clutter my mind with general information when I have men around me who can supply any knowledge I need? If I lose $1 billion, I will have it back in less than 5 years. Thinking without constructive action becomes a disease. Power and machinery, money and goods, are useful only as they set us free to live. Profit is a byproduct of work, happiness is its chief product. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. The object of living is work, experience, happiness. Greed is merely a species of nearsightedness. Life, as I see it, is not a location, but a journey. Life flows. If there is unemployment in America, it is because the unemployed do not want to work. There is safety in small beginnings and there is unlimited capital in the experience gained by growing. Sometimes you just don't like somebody. I could use 100 people who don't know there is such a word as impossible. A nation that knows how to work will never suffer. I'll sleep well tonight. It is not usual to speak of an employee as a partner, and yet what else is he? As we serve our jobs, we serve the world. I will build a car for the great multitude. People can have the Model T in any color, so long as it's black. Competition is the keen cutting edge of business, always shaving away at costs. The whole key of the profitable everyday living will be to discover out what's one's future to try and do, and after that do it. When I see an Alfa Romeo go by, I tip my hat. Money doesn't change men. It merely unmasks them. Working together is success. The time will come when men will know even what is going on in the other planets and perhaps be able to visit them. A man given to pride is usually proud of the wrong thing. To lift farm drudgery off flesh and blood and lay it on steel and motors has been my most constant ambition. A man's college and university degrees mean nothing to me until I see what he is able to do with them. Business is never as healthy as when, like a chicken, it must do a certain amount of scratching for what it gets. Hard knocks have a place and value, but hard thinking goes farther in less time. Speculation is only a word covering the making of money out of the manipulation of prices, instead of supplying goods and services. Every object tells a story if you know how to read it. A customer votes every day with his dollar. Our job is make sure he votes for us. If people understood how the economic system works, there'd be a revolution in a minute. What we call evil, it seems to me, is simply ignorance bumping its head in the dark. Time and money spent in helping men to do more for themselves is far better than mere giving. I cannot discover that anyone knows enough to say definitely what is and what is not possible. Bankers play far too great a part in the conduct of industry. Any decision you make isn't worth a tinker's damn until you have formed the habit of making and keeping it. Experience is the thing of supreme value. The farther we get away from the land, the greater our insecurity. Too many men are afraid of being fools. The only statement I care to make about the protocols is that they fit in with what is going on. A scatterbrain is one who never has an unspoken thought. Every time you try to quit smoking, you are actually getting closer to staying smoke-free. Money is like an arm or leg, use it or lose it. Money is worth what it will help you to produce or buy and no more. Some people believe they are winners, others believe they are losers. And they are both right. A business that makes nothing but money is a poor business. Some people think they can, some think they can't. They are probably both right. All that money can do is buy us someone else's work in exchange for our own. Integrity is crucial for business success. Once you can fake that, you've got it made. All life is experience, and one level is exchanged for another only when its lesson is learned. There's no such thing as no chance. A man ought to be able to live on a scale commensurate with the service that he renders. When the leaves of the strongest tree fall, spring is here. Reading muses up my mind. The question who ought to be boss is like who ought to be the tenor in the quartet. Obviously, the men who can sing tuner. To be good is not enough, a man must be good for something. He who would really benefit mankind must reach them through their work. A big business never becomes big by being a narrow society looking after only the interests of its organization and stockholders. Nothing can be made except by makers, nothing can be managed except by managers. Money cannot make anything and money cannot manage anything. Many cars produce many profits. The man who is too set to change is dead already. The funeral is a mere detail. Success is a matter of adjusting one's efforts to obstacles and one's abilities to a service needed by others. America is not a land of money but of wealth, not a land of rich people, but of successful workers. Economy has frequently nothing whatever to do with the amount of money being spent, but with the wisdom used in spending it. Whether we think we can or cannot, we are right. I see no advantage in these new clocks. They run no faster than the ones made 100 years ago. Exercise is bunk. If you are healthy, you don't need it. If you are sick, you should not take it. Any customer can have a car painted any color that he wants so long as it is black. The human race cannot forever exist half exploiters and half exploited. The greatest day of my life was the day I married Mrs. Ford. The short successes that can be gained in a brief time and without difficulty are not worth much. There is joy in work. To teach that a comparatively few men are responsible for the greatest forward steps of mankind is the worst sort of nonsense. Any customer can have a car painted any color that he wants so long as it is black. You take all the experience and judgment of men over 50 out of the world and there wouldn't be enough left to run it. I can visualize the time when almost every family will have a small plane in their backyard. Our help does not come from Washington, but from ourselves. Every man is better for a period of work under the open sky. Thinking is hard work. That's why there are so few people doing it. Come ye thankful people, come, raise the song of harvest home. Our policy is to reduce the price, extend the operations, and improve the article. I found that competition was supposed to be a menace and that a good manager circumvented his competitors by getting a monopoly by artificial means. Wars do not end wars any more than an extraordinarily large conflagration does away with the fire hazard. Labor unions are the worst thing that ever struck the earth because they take away a man's independence. I did not say history was bunk. It was bunk to me. I did not need it very bad. Political parties are like poets, born, not made. History's just one darn thing after another. Who stops learning may be old. Labor is the human element which makes the fruitful seasons of the earth useful to men. Competition whose motive is merely to compete, to drive some other fellow out, never carries very far. Any color, so long as it's black. Disappointment is just the chance to start once more, this time all the more insightfully. Man minus the machine is a slave, man plus the machine is a freeman. Mark my word, a combination airplane and motor car is coming. The longer an article is in the process of manufacture and the more it is moved about, the greater its ultimate cost. Every business is a monarchy with, not a man, but an idea as king. If there is one thing which I would banish from the earth, it is fear. Change is not always progress. A fever of newness has everywhere been confused with the spirit of progress. Our clothing, our food, our household furnishings, all could be much simpler than they now are and at the same time be better looking. I wouldn't give 5 cents for all the art in the world. History is more or less bunk. Capital punishment is as fundamentally wrong as a cure for crime as charity is wrong as a cure for poverty. It is regrettable that people think about our monetary system, and of our economic structure, only in times of depression. You can get it in any color, as long as it is black. The public should always be wondering how it is possible to give so much for the money. Everyone knows that insufficient rest and gorging are not good for anyone, either physically or mentally. The workingmen have been exploited all the way up and down the line by employers, landlords, everybody. Burdening people with debt is an old deal, not a new deal. These men of many nations must be taught American ways, the English language, and the right way to live. Don't find the fault, find the remedy. Then why flounder around waiting for good business? Get the costs down by better management. Get the prices down to the buying power. If you think you can, or if you think you can't. Either way you are correct. It's the thinking that makes it so. No unemployment insurance can be compared to an alliance between a man and a plot of land. For most purposes, a man with a machine is better than a man without a machine. Look beyond the individual to the cause of his misery. Irrespective of whether you suspect you are able to do a factor or not, that you are right. A company that does not produce anything other than money is a poor business. Yet if today has no meaning, the past was a blank and the future is a chaos. The only prosperity the people can afford to be satisfied with is the kind that lasts. Every man starts with all there is. Everything is here the essence and substance of all there is. We now know that anything which is economically right is also morally right. There can be no conflict between good economics and good morals. Every depression is a challenge to every manufacturer to put more brains into his business. I didn't get much peace, but I heard in Norway that Russia might well become a huge market for tractors soon. There are people who say they can, others they cannot. In general, they are all right. Whether you think you can, or you think you can't, you still have to file your 990 each year.